Hi, my name is Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes, and pay the right vendor. Now, this week's Vendor Master File tip of the week is to search 3 ways to find duplicate vendors. Now, if you know you have duplicate vendors in your Vendor Master File, maybe you inherited a vendor master file and they didn't have vendor name conventions, and how the vendor was entered was based on the team member that entered it. Or maybe you have missing tax IDs. I actually run into that a lot with clients. So if that's you, you're not alone. Or any other reason, you need to, 1, merge or inactivate those vendor records that are truly duplicates, and 2, implement processes to avoid duplicates in the future. Now, this best practice doesn't cost anything, and you can implement it today to avoid duplicate vendors. And that best practice, again, is to search for vendor 3 ways. And here are the 3 ways. The first one is by vendor legal name. Now, make sure the team is aware of any wildcards that can broaden the search. And so this will catch those vendor names that included a "the" if it's in the business name, which you absolutely don't need unless it's only followed by one other word. The second way is by vendor tax ID. Now, some accounting systems or ERPs have a system that really lends itself to require one tax ID per vendor record in the vendor master file. But other systems like SAP can't do that. They partner instead. But either way, you can still review the results to see if the vendor information matches. The third way is by address. Now, just like the vendor legal name, use wildcards to make sure you're capturing any different ways that the address could have been entered. Now, some use street suffixes based on the abbreviations provided by USPS formatting standards. But just like vendor legal name, you never know what formatting or standardizations were being used, or if they were being used at all when the vendor was set up. Now, if you search by all 3 and there are no additional vendor records, then you could be confident that if you set up a new vendor record, that there are no existing ones. Or if you update an existing vendor record, that you're not creating a new vendor record just with updated information. Now, if you want more best practices for the vendor master file, I will link at the end of this video a free webinar called The Top 10 Best Practices for Your Vendor Master File to Avoid Fraud, Fines, and Bad Vendor Data. If you would like more vendor process information, please go to my website at debrarrichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and bad vendor data. So good luck, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.